Hey everybody, Jim Powers with MaryvilleSaints.com and Saints Vision as we start to get into our regular weekly routine and talking to our basketball coaches. And joining us after his first victory as the head coach of the Maryville Saints on the men's side, Jesse Shaw. And Jesse, it had to feel great, number one, just to get out there and play on Sunday, but number two, to get your first head coaching victory as a Saint.
Absolutely. It was relief just to get on the court and kind of get lost in the game for a while. What was interesting is after the game, we talked about what we were doing the next day, and we talked about how we were testing the next day, and it kind of reality came back that we're living in a pandemic, but it also reminded us that we're able to escape that for a couple hours and just be on the court and be with each other and having fun. And it obviously made it all the more sweet getting a win. And I think that's something that as simple as it sounds, something that we all need as a staff and as a team, just to win and get some confidence going that way.
One of the things, and we're going to talk about Owen's performance here in a second, but the one thing I said during the broadcast was that this was just a total team effort, on both sides, the offensive side, the defensive side, and doing a lot of the little things. And yeah, everybody's seeing, Owen putting up 39, but, nobody's seeing a lot of the other stuff, Campto having 10 rebounds and different things along those lines. So this was a total team victory for the guys on Sunday.
Yeah, a lot of times I have a real pet peeve with just our basketball culture in general, and I'm sure it's similar with different sports, but we give a lot of attention to the leading scorers in games, and Owen was rightfully so the other night. He was absolutely amazing, but like you said, there's a lot of other things that go into winning a basketball game. You gotta just sprint back on defense and keep your man in front of you and box somebody out. You might not even get the rebound, but boxing out and sharing the ball and setting screens and all that kind of things, and all those add up to a victory. But it's also really helpful when you got a guy like Owen who can, put a team on his back offensively, and get you through. I mean, without his performance, we would have had a very mediocre night on the offensive end, and he made us look really good there.
Yeah, I mean, 39, that's the third most points scored in a single game in school history. And there was a point where I didn't think he was going to miss. I mean, anything he was putting up was dropping down for him. And that's what we've grown to see out of Owen. We saw, those sparks last year, but what we saw on Sunday is something that we're really expecting to see a lot out of him.
Well, what's interesting about Owen is those shots we talk about analytics, and the shots that he shoots a lot are not high analytical shots. But what's interesting about him is he pretty consistently makes them. So it's an interesting dynamic to coach when you have a guy that can make such difficult shots so consistently, trying to work him into the flow and not just give him the ball and get out of the way from the get-go. We're trying to get him in the flow of the offense, but it's also very comforting to know that in your back pocket, if you have a bad possession, that you got a guy that can go make a really difficult shot look really easy. So, I mean, we're really happy he's here.
And the other one is, one of the newcomers, Daniel Ferris, and he is just such a smart player out on the court. There were a couple possessions, on the fast break that we didn't have numbers. And, most kids would just go ahead and try to attack it a little bit and see what they can create. But he was so smart on a couple possessions, especially towards the end of the game, to where he just brought it back out, got into the offense or got in the secondary break, and we were able to score out of it. And it's really neat to see, how he's grown up since I covered him, in high school when he was at Vashon, to see how far he's grown as a basketball player.
Absolutely. No, it's one thing that we were looking for, when we were recruiting, is we wanted to bring in an older guy that had some experience like him. And he's the only senior on our roster. We have one senior, two juniors, two sophomores, and five freshmen. And, his experience, I think, was really helpful on Sunday. Just he's been through battles. He won 2 state championships in high school. He's been playing in big games since then. Was at Central Missouri for 3 years and started the majority of those 3 years. And he's been through it. He's not rattled by it. I think he's going to be a really good piece for us going forward.
All right, so another big weekend. Right now, Lindenwood on the docket for Thursday night here at Simon, and then the only road trip that you guys will make in December up to Illinois Springfield. I know Lindenwood you've been looking at a little bit more than Illinois Springfield, but what are some of the things we're going to have to do this weekend to keep the winning going?
Well, a lot of times it's really simple, but it's complex at the same time. But with Lindenwood, we better take care of the ball. They forced, I think, 19 turnovers the other day. They had 14 steals maybe against S&T the first time they played them. They forced 19 turnovers and had 15 steals, which is a lot of steals in a Division II college basketball game. So we're going to have to take care of the ball so that we can get our defense set. But then they're really good in transition. They get out and run. They got a lot of guys that can go create their own shot and make it. So we're going to have to play really good individual defense to keep those guys in front. And then they crash the boards really hard. They'll send 3, 4, sometimes 5 guys to the boards. And they got, some good athletes and some guys with some good motors. And I'm going to have to get them off of there so that they don't get too many extra shots at us. And then after that, it comes down to execution and making shots and all that kind of stuff. But those are the main keys going into this game that we're going to have to take care of.
And then obviously Saturday, Illinois Springfield, they're under second-year head coach Matt Brock, which a lot of people know from down here in the St. Louis area. Once again, I know you haven't looked ahead that far yet, but, just kind of initial before you get into that, what are some of the things on Saturday against them?
Well, they do have some guys back from last year. They got some bigger guards with some strong bodies, and those guys are really versatile. We're gonna have to keep them out of the paint. And then they run the offense that they run. We haven't prepared for it yet, but it's something that we'll have to really work on Friday, and they'll be ready to go. They won their first game pretty handily against Quincy. It's his second year. He did a great job at Missouri Baptist. I've known him for a long time and know their staff really well. And I mean, they got it going at MoBap, and they've started off this year right. So we're going to have to make sure that we're able to turn it around real quick and have a really good day on Friday after what's probably going to be an emotional game on Thursday with Lindenwood being about 10 minutes away.
No doubt about it, Jesse. Well, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on the first win, and we will see you Thursday night at the Simon Center when Lindenwood comes to town.
Absolutely. See you soon. Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much, Jesse Shaw, the head coach of the Maryville men's basketball team. And we go against Lindenwood on Thursday night. The men will start at about 7:30 or so here at the Simon Center. You'll be able to catch all the action on Saints Vision and the JLVC Sports Network. So make sure you tune in there, and we'll have wall-to-wall coverage for you on our social media as well throughout the weekend as the men look to continue their winning ways this weekend. For Coach, I'm Jim Powers. Thanks so much for tuning in to MaryvilleSaints.com and Saints Vision. Have a great week, and as always, go Saints.